This is FCNCC's President, CEO, and Executive Series. This is brought to you by FCNCC with its mission to unite Nepalese entrepreneurs in Canada and promote bilateral relationship and trade between Canada and Nepal. It is to connect and create business opportunity. FCNCC has been collaborating with municipal, provincial, and federal government and has been very vocal about community and business issues. Which is why before we start our first episode of our series, I want to start by thanking our advisors across Canada and Nepal, our Embassy of Nepal in Canada, MPs, including MP Kyle Seaback and MP Dan Muse, who have played a great role in moving our advocacies forward and raising awareness for the issues we have. Recently, we celebrated 58th Bilateral Relationship Day of Canada and Nepal in January. We also got an opportunity to celebrate Nepali New Year 2080 in Parliament Hill for the first time in history. Now, FCNCC brings you the CEO and Executive Series. It is a forum where top leaders and executive talk and share about their knowledge, expertise, and their inspiring stories. We are currently live from CanadaTour.com Facebook space and also FCNCC's YouTube channel. So I would like to welcome all our viewers and supporters joining us today. I'm your moderator, Isha Subedi, and for the first time in history, our first guest is very inspiring and prominent woman of today. She was nominated as Woman of Inspiration by Universal Women's Network, Woman of the Year by Nepalese Community, and recently she was nominated as the Top 25 Immigrant Award. She's a successful business owner and philanthropist. She's none other than Nima Mcelhinney. Namaste, ma'am. Welcome to our show.
Namaste. Thank you so much for your Isha. Thank you for your very generous introduction. It is a real honor and privilege to be the first ever guest to the CEO and Executive Series of the FNCC, oh my God, Canada, Federation of Canada, Nepal, Chamber of Commerce, who are, as you say, trying to connect the entrepreneurs of the Nepalese heritage from all over Canada, but also North America, and who knows, around the world, right? So although today we have this amazing platform through the technology allows us to connect with anybody from anywhere. So you might as well be in Nepal or in Canada, doesn't matter. We can connect through this series.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. And it is a privilege. I look forward to it.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time from a busy schedule. We'll try to wrap everything up as much as possible so we can know and learn a lot about you. So I would like to start, my first question would be, so you immigrated to Canada as a young mother, and why did you decide to move to Canada? Because you lived in a village in the Himalayas. It's very lovely. And what motivated you to move to abroad and start a new life from the very beginning?
So actually, well, actually, I never thought I would move anywhere but Nepal when I was growing up, and I never imagined going anywhere. But then when I was 22, I met my husband, who is from Scotland, and then we were two very young people, fell in love, and shortly thereafter we got married. He was a British volunteer, VSO, it's like the Peace Corps, American Peace Corps. And I was teaching basic Nepalese language to the volunteers, to the embassy people, American, German, Dutch, So that's when I met. My husband and I met at a language training session. But he wasn't my student. I was teaching Dutch volunteers, and he was with the British volunteers group. So we met. And that's what led me to go to Scotland. I followed him to Scotland as his wife. Then I lived in Scotland for 5 years, and we moved to Canada, and basically for sun and opportunity.
Okay.
and also multiculturalism, because Scotland is very homogeneous. I didn't meet any Nepalese or any other a group of people when I was there 5 years. So I really enjoyed being in Canada. We came for a holiday in 1987, and then we immigrated to Canada thereafter.
Mhm. So when you first arrived to Canada as a newcomer and you started your own business, what was the struggle like? What was the journey like? What was the hurdles that you had to pass to be where you are today?
Well, hurdle, if I can say something, when I went to Scotland, I was 23, and there was no phone, there was nothing. That was during those time in Nepal, there was not even television. So I couldn't reach out to my parents or family or friends. So basically, I made up my mind that didn't matter what hurdle I face, I was just going to deal with it, So coming to Canada, I was young. I had two daughters, one of school age, and one was grade 1 and one is going to kindergarten. So at that time, because as I said, I didn't go to school in Nepal. I didn't go to university in Nepal. I just did a basic SLC, and I learned very basic Nepali. I didn't have much of it. Whatever I learned here. I couldn't, when I came in Canada, I went to school. I sent my kids to school. Then I did my grade 12 here along with other teenagers. Okay.
Yeah. That must have been difficult. Obviously, now
again, I didn't. Again, this is something what I have to tell all young people, newcomers, man, woman, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I took my difficulty not as difficulty, but I took as a challenge. People go to Mount Everest looking for difficulty. So here you have to take this as your Mount Everest challenge. And that is how I saw everything in life. I was looking for challenges. Nobody had to give me challenges, but I was just motivated by challenges, and I don't know why. Yeah. And so as I say, I went to school, did the grade 12 there. Then I went to, I didn't have the driving license. I couldn't drive. And my husband at the time, he worked away. So I had my two daughters, basically almost like a single mom, so I did whatever I had to do. We didn't have a whole lot of money either. So we started with basically just like anybody else who comes to Canada. And I truly did not feel sorry for me, because in my life, I was not attracted by money. I was just not attracted by just money. I was more driven by the challenges that I wanted to conquer, the challenges that was in front of me. That was my attitude always, And so basically I walked most of my distances because I couldn't drive, or I could take bus. Okay. So walking was very, very, I felt good walking because I took that as an exercise, because I would get up at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, do my 1 hour exercise. So, so walking is also exercise. So I took it that way,
It's very inspiring. And now that you've gone through so many challenges and you've passed so many hurdles, and now you've become a successful business owner, what's your advice to people who's just starting a business? Like, what should they plan? How soon they should plan? Like, how do you start a successful business?
Okay, so when I first came, I attended a lot of these networking events. I was always reading. Here's how I did. I had two daughters, and I wanted to do everything as much as I can. Whether it's gardening, whether it's lawn mowing, whether it is cleaning their house, whether it's learning about cooking, whether it is anything, because this is a country you can learn as much as little. It's up to us. I'm going to say to young people or anybody, it's harder for the older people, but the young people, don't waste your time on selfies. Don't waste your time on posting too many craps. Invest your time in learning what is meaningful, what serves you, what builds your brain, what builds your quality of life, but also bridge the gap between human. Don't always look for quick reward. Reward is a long-term investment, never feel sorry because you have to work. And that's another thing that I think that is a big mistake for people, to feel sorry because you have to work. You have to work. If you don't work, that's the worst. Don't look at somebody's success. Well, I always say this to everybody. Doesn't matter whether you're a king or the slave, the person that works has my respect. It doesn't matter if you're a sweeper, gardener, plumber, doctor, they all have the same respect from me. Because the one who does not work, sits in the chair and commanding respect, has no respect for me, So because to respect yourself, we have to be productive. We have to, and it does not have to be measured by how much or how little.
That's true. Yeah, we should all respect workers of all kinds. So you own 2 retirement homes. So I was just curious to know, when you first started, what's the procedure of licensing? Like, what do you need to be eligible to start retirement homes? If anybody watching wants to.
So let me go back a little bit. Before I had the retirement home,
yes,
I was not motivated by making a successful business. Let me to go back a little bit. No, I wanted to be successful. If I say I didn't want to be successful, that will be a lie. But at the same time, that was not my single motivator, because I have always treasured people with integrity. People do all kind of bad things because they want to be successful. What is success is defined in the definition of success should not, in my view, be just because they have succeeded in business. The basic measure of success is people who have done the best, not given up, lived a life of honesty, integrity, and giving back to community in your capacity. And never also need to compare because somebody gave you that much, those are not important,
I know your story is
because of my own principle that way, and also my first business was actually business with people with mental illness. This before the retirement home. I ran that for 5 years. Before that, I had a carpet importing business from Nepal. Before that, I had, even when I was in Nepal, I was a young, 16, 17, I had a small restaurant. So my business learning came from just doing from small things. It just, progressed from there. Yeah.
So when you first started your retirement home, do you have to get a license for it? Like, how do you get a license?
Yes.
What are the procedures for it?
So when I started my very first, it wasn't, first one was my people with mental illness. So it was 63 bed up in Sutton, Jackson's Point, Ontario. And there I have no experience. I have none other than my business experience, my private, that little important business experience. But that, along with my personal, the bank will interview you because you have to get a mortgage, right? They will. So I think they believed in what I shared, my principles, So it's not, if it's just for the sake of making money, I think that it will be harder to succeed, So I went with a view, whether I succeed or I don't succeed, I have lived a passion. I have lived what I'm passionate about. That is to giving to the people, serving the people. So I made 63 different people with mental illness, people with all kind of background, some people had 3 PhDs, if you can imagine, people who are brilliant people who just fell ill, people who, that kind of thing. So to me, that was a real privilege in my life to get to know and broaden my horizon about our own life, So that after that, I ran that for 5 years. Then that gave me sort of legitimacy to jump to my next level, which is a retirement home. Again, I was following my heart, not thinking I would be the big successful person or anything. But again, I wanted to serve old people, elderly people. That was my, So basically, I was trying to combine sort of my passion for serving, but also I'm a businesswoman. So I'm trying to combine the two. Okay. So when I bought that retirement home, because I've never had the experience, I've never done it before, I basically dared. That was a foolish heart. I call it following my foolish heart. Okay. So when I followed my foolish heart, my accountant, my lawyer, my husband, they all thought I was foolish to jump into businesses that I had no experience in. But not only that, I actually, the business that I bought in Barrie, they were losing big money. So it was not a winning business. I actually took over a business that they were losing 450 grand a year. So this was bought. I can tell you that's one. Just because you buy business does not mean, it doesn't guarantee you success. Okay. So the two people who owned there were two guys, big developers from Toronto. In 13 years, they lost $8 million in that business. Just think about that. And I took over their business without any experience.
And I think you're great. You were a successful business owner. Now you own 2 retirement homes. You're employing over 100 people. On top of that, you're also giving back to the community. You're providing them service. So because you've been in this industry for so long, for all the new immigrants coming to Canada now, they don't know where to start planning for their retirement. So what do you suggest them to do to start planning?
So can I just go back a little bit? Okay. So my success in retirement home, the 2 of them, I have to give all my credit to my employees. Okay. It is so important that any employer have the best practice, be kind, be appreciative to the employees, because I always put myself in their shoes, because if I didn't own it, I'll be working there too, right? So that's how everything I achieved is due to my managers, my team, which was not easy to build, but over time I built an unbelievable team. So we became the destination for care home in Barrie. And again, I can't take the credit. But it was all my team who did it, because they're the one who knows the policy procedure. They're the one who implement those systems in the operation. So I want to give all the credit for the success to my employee team. Okay. Okay. Right. So your question was, about the retirement planning, correct?
Yeah, just as an immigration, like somebody who's immigrated to the country recently, what do you think they should do now as a young person so that they can sustain themselves when they're older?
That is a great, amazing question, and it always comes to my mind how, now that I have owned the retirement home, you're right, how much, if you're retiring in Canada, or even if you're going to Nepal, don't think government is going to take care of you. Yeah. You have to be strong yourself, because I know the retirement home that I owned is private, and all the retirement homes are private, and you basically have to pay from your pocket. Okay, so so many people come to us and they can't afford, and the government don't always subsidize this. Okay, so subsidizing is in the nursing home, but in a private home, there's no subsidy. Okay, sometimes there is for the care that they need, but there's a room and board that is not subsidized. Okay, So even to get to the list, the list of subsidies, you have to wait in queue, and they have to be qualified. So starting to save, that is a question that you have to ask your financial planner, or basically, if you buy a house as young as possible, if you can, that at the end, over time, the equity builds up. And I have seen many people, elderly, they sell their home, and then that is their source of income. That pays when you're old and sick. But before you get sick, I have to say to all young people again, if they're listening, if they want to hear my advice, treasure your health, treasure your mind. Don't abuse your body, because when you get old, that is what you need. And when you're young, that is what you need. And when you're poor, that is what you need. When you're rich, that's what you need. Your body, your mind, and God doesn't give you good body just like that, or health, because you have to be the advocate for your health. I see that a lot of people indulge in alcohol, indulge in substance. I feel very bad for them, because put in your mouth, in your eye, in your ear, only the best, what serves you well. That's what I will say. That's what I say to my daughters, and they don't listen.
I think
Sorry,
I hope everybody listening now will listen to you.
They're sick of me telling them that. I said, your health is the number one. Yeah. So if you prevent everything, if you do the preventative measure now, when you're young, do the exercise, eat wholesome food, get involved with the community, be volunteering. All of that helps in our mental wellness, but also expands our knowledge about what else is out there in Canada. You're in Canada. Do not cocoon yourself with two people. Expand. This is what I have to say. Okay, sorry, I babbled.
That's okay. So you also brought up that the government, the policies they have, it's not enough to sustain you when you're older. So do you think in a government level, there's any change that needs to happen, anything they should do for the betterment of retirement homes?
I am not, unfortunately, I am not big enough to advise the government, but I can have my opinion, sure. But I have to say, I'm not, again, there are advices from the tax accountants, how to save properly. But at the government level, it's just that what I am seeing is that the subsidies that people get for care, whenever they get the care, because they either end up in hospital where everything is paid, or which is not going to last a year, or you come to retirement home. And for families also, it's not impossible to take care of your parents because you have to work, you have your young children, and this is not like in Nepal. It doesn't matter how much you love your parents, because sometimes the sickness is beyond what you can manage. Okay, so, and it doesn't mean that you don't love your parents, but this is the reality. And saving, what government can do is something. It's a much bigger debate. I don't have one question, one answer, but I will always say, take responsibility for your own future. Everybody must take that, start from very early. And, I know that paying bill comes first, right? But even from there, I think you can put away whatever amount you can for future. And, then as you get mature, you will see yourself, the opportunities, and how best to, invest. I think Nepali people are pretty smart. I don't think that I need to teach anybody, but yeah, that's how I myself, did. And be daring and bold. It's okay if you lose. If you want to get into business, being bold and daring and without any attachment to success is going to free you, because if you're so hung up on success, you're going to be paralyzed with fear. If you just want to do it because you enjoy, then you are more likely to be freer to take the risk. I never feel that anything belongs to me.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it doesn't belong to me. Yeah, I'm not worried about what belongs to me, what doesn't belong to me. I'm just interested in taking risk, and I'm interested in challenging myself, and not to show anybody, but just so that I feel good about myself. That's it.
Yes, and I see that you're very passionate about giving back to the community. You also devote yourself to Sir Edmund Hillary Foundation, serve the community in Nepal. You're a very active philanthropist. So what motivates you to do it, and what kind of work are you doing currently?
So, okay, so the Sir Edmund Hillary Foundation is because I have known Sir Edmund Hillary from childhood. I have seen what contribution he has done. I have seen as a kid, we knew Sir Edmund Hillary, and we used to go from the school, we would go and line up and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. But also, I was always aware of our background, people not having the opportunity, people not having education. And in Solu, and even today, I don't know now, but when I was there, many people can't go to school to Kathmandu to get the better quality of education. And where I am from, Solu does not have the tourist exposure either. We're not like from Namche. Namche's got the tourists, so they have more economic benefit, right? So Solu people don't have that. So Solu is for the lower in Solu. There's no tourism there as much. And I was always passionate. I ached my heart always when people didn't have the same opportunity. I was very aware of what needed to be done, and I wanted to give back from within my capacity. So I've done that when I didn't have money, and I've done it when I have money. So yeah. I think, yeah. And I think that it takes a village to raise a child, is what I believe. And if you want to be proud to be Nepali here, it's not alone one person being successful does not quantify. I think it's best if every Nepalese or from in every corner can have the same opportunity. That's
Yeah, and we admire your passion to give back. We admire whatever you have done. We're very proud of you being able to represent Nepal here in Canada. At last, my last question to you for today would be, what advice would you like to give people starting their own business or young women who look up to you? What should they do differently? What's an advice that you would like to give them?
Because because it's coming, I can only speak for myself. Okay, sometimes it takes few tries. Sometimes it takes few tries before you really can feel which one makes sense to you. Okay, so you have to be a little bit of a hustler as well. Okay, and if you're stuck with one thing, some people are very lucky, and for me also, let me say, I think I got very lucky in so many ways, because how I built my team, there's so many businesses, they're doing the same thing, and I feel like I'm nobody, but somehow I got lucky. Okay. So, but everybody should try different things and don't give up. That'll be my number one. Don't feel sorry for yourself because you have to work, because you have when you get a lemonade, make lemonade is what I really believe in. And feeling sorry for having to work, number one, is the biggest hindrance for progress.
Yes.
Okay. And so, yes, business-wise, what are you passionate about? I was passionate about social services. I am a strong believer of civic mindedness, So more than for me, I wanted to see a good world, better world. And it's not just Nepal, it's not just a better world overall, everywhere, even in Canada. So find your passion, and your passion doesn't have to be only one. You can have 10 passions. Of the 10 passions, you'll succeed in one, and don't listen to always people who say, oh, can't do it. So if I listen to can't do it, and my lawyer, my accountant, my husband all thought I was gone crazy because I was taking a business that I had no business in being in, but I was passionate, you're right. And there's got to be a certain amount of passion. So when you have that passion, doesn't matter how painful it is, you can withstand, you can survive, and then you'll live to see the success, see the business succeed. Doesn't matter whether it takes 1 year or 10 years.
And your passion has worked greatly, because from a small village and the lap of Himalayas, now you've also nominated for the top 25 immigrant award. So we from the FCNC team would also like to congratulate you on that. And I hope you keep on making us proud. And I hope we get to talk to you more. And we would like to also thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing such inspiring stories and your words of wisdom and your business. We're so glad and honored to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you. You're so amazing. Yeah. And all the best to you too, Isha. And thank you so much. And considering you're just only 3 years in Canada, I'm quite impressed. Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah.
I would also like to thank all of our viewers watching and joining us today. I hope whatever Nima ma'am has shared inspires you to do better. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to share it on our comment. Share this video as much as possible. And before I end, I would also like to thank our executive board of directors and the entire team of FCNCC for also giving me an opportunity to not only talking with Nima ma'am and sharing and hearing her words of wisdom, but also for this opportunity. This is Isha signing off, and I'll see you again on Sunday next week. This is a weekly show, so we'll be live every Sunday. So keep on sharing and keep on supporting us, and share as much as possible. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a fantastic, brilliant day, everyone.